Howdy, folks. So today I want to talk about a crazy little story that really played a big role in my sort of decline as a teenager. So, for one, I started using LSD at a very young age. I was 13. I do not advise people use drugs like LSD, which are extremely profound in how they affect your neurochemistry and that young age with the developing brain is just not a good idea. Hold on. Wait till you're a little bit older. At least 17. At least 17. Smoke some herbs, smoke some ganja. That's cool. Just, wait. Keep the big guns because you got your whole life to do them. So now, at the time, let me just set the scene for what happened. And so this was back when I first started putting drugs on my nose, particularly ketamine and cocaine. Because I sold cocaine for a while as a teenager, and I made a lot of money doing so. I'm not exactly, very proud of that, but I did. Um, and so, anyways, I was living with my folks, and they found me baggy and kind of flipped out and got me to see an addiction counselor, and I was starting to think, oh no, I'm becoming an addict. I'm becoming everything I prevented from, precluding measures not to become. So I saw this counselor, I had a good little cry, went home, and I just wanted to get away. I wanted to escape from reality, from my harsh reality. And so along with the ketamine that was in the baggie they found, I bought some LSD. And I never had really done sugar cubes. I did them once. It's just not the best way to do LSD because, LSD for one is a very unstable compound. You need to keep it away from oxygen, light, heat, etc. Or you can spoil it and you can end up doing some really dirty LSD, which I've done, and it's not a fun experience. But my buddy who sold this to me, this guy, he's like 5 foot nothing, and he would take absurd amounts of psychedelics. And so he was like, yeah, man, I got this liquid. He showed me this big bottle, and it's like I did 2 hits of it, and I barely felt it. So, you know, um, I'll load you up so you get the equivalent to 2 hits. So he gave me the sugar cubes, and I should have this should have, been an instant in my mind that had been processed and I comprehended. But the sugar cubes were melted halfway down, and LSD, 100 micrograms per drop if it's good LSD, which barely is visible in sugar cubes if it's applied. These were melted halfway down. Um, so I just took them. Just making some hash browns, and in 5 minutes, it's like already feeling like I was on 4 hits. And anyone who's done LSD, it's like, a good hour before you feel it, especially if you're taking it orally. And so I was like, oh no, what have I done? And what happened next was, like, I will recount it to the best of my ability, but I blacked out here and there throughout a lot of it. But I was watching this documentary. This professor, Dr. Michael Heisner, he is someone who's like really well versed in Sumerian, uh, just the etymology of Sumerian ideas, words, culture, essentially an expert in that field. Uh, I think he's an anthropologist. And so he was going through all the ancient aliens claims, debunking them one by one, Zachariah Sitchin, all that jazz, saying, Zachariah Sitchin says the reason there were aliens enslaving humanity and all that back in the day was because they needed gold for their depleted atmosphere, which something that doesn't make any sense when you think about it. For one thing, gold would just reflect light, and not just out of the atmosphere, but back down. So there's, a planet where holes everywhere in the atmosphere, and just doesn't make sense as far as I know. I'm not a scientist, but neither is Zacharias Sitchin. And so I was watching this, and I just started turning into gobbledygook, and I couldn't understand it. There's just these psychedelics webs everywhere. And so I went upstairs. Or no, what I did first is I didn't have any cigarettes, so I went to the store, and I thought I had a $10 bill and then some change. This is back when it was like $13 for a pack of like premium cigarettes. Um, and so I go to the store, and I'm like completely out of my mind, and like these are people who've known me since I was a kid. I still was a kid at the time. Damn, I was like 15 years old maybe. I said, got a pack of cigarettes, and I put the change on the table, and I forgot I didn't have the $10 bill, and so he's like, he gives me a weird look, and he's like, that's not enough, and I was like, what, really? Sorry, grabbed the change, going back, I'm seeing all these women walking around in strollers, who are really there, because the LSD hadn't fully kicked in yet. I was tripping balls. It was like 4 to 6 hits, which I've done. I did at the time, and so I started feeling like I'm in a simulation, and I kind of blacked out a bit, and I ended up upstairs, and I was stark naked except for a pair of boxers, and I could see these like gray aliens, like legitimately like the archetypal gray aliens that you see in like Bud Hopkins books or movies where they're standing there coldly watching people on a table as they're being dissected. I also had that experience on 9 grams of mushrooms, but I'll save that story for another time. And I just felt like a reality had been peeled away, and I was seeing the people running it and everything. And I was like, I'm not real, this isn't real. So I took a cigar I had and I lit it because I didn't have any cigarettes. And for some reason I was like, what the fuck? If I'm not real, this won't burn me. So I put it on my leg and I didn't really feel it. And I was like, ow! I had this big burn on my leg. Blacked out. And so we had some tenants in the downstairs suite who are from Peru, I believe. Lovely couple. And I just remember I somehow ended up down there. I was kind of tossing and turning, oh, I murdered, who did I murder? I murdered myself, I murdered your husband, and she's just giving me this look like, this isn't a good situation, she's out there, she sees this, I'm sorry for putting you through that, but I blacked out again, and I was upstairs, and I called 911, and I must have just completely confused the hell out of the dispatcher. I said, please help, nothing makes sense anymore. And she's like, what do you mean nothing makes sense anymore? I don't know. And I dropped the phone, still running, and I say in blackout, there's these cops in my house, and they're like, what's your name? And I was like, I don't know. And mind you, I'm still in my boxers. And so they're like, here, spell your name. And I was just like, okay, grab the paper, and I'm just writing scribbles, and they're like, okay, this guy's fucking far gone. We need to get him to a hospital. And so some like a fire truck showed up. I guess because the thing is, there's like first responders in my city. They're very busy, and they probably deal with some of the worst stuff in the world because my city is one of the most dangerous cities, and like one of the cities that's most affected by hard drug use in all of North America. And so typically, like, if there's something like this, I'll get firemen to respond instead of paramedics, just so taking up the paramedics' time for a frivolous call where a kid is out of his fucking gourd on acid. Because, try as you might, you can't overdose on acid. You can fry your brain, but you can't overdose on acid. So they get me into the truck, and I'm kind of still in my boxers, and I kind of chuckle, and they're laughing at the absurdity of the situation. Mind you, I was in a state where I thought none of this was funny. And so we were driving to the hospital, and I saw this poster, because there are all these like anti-fentanyl ads for good reason, because fentanyl is killing a lot of people, and right now it's worse than COVID in my country in terms of how many people it's killing. And it's very disappointing because a lot of close people to me died from fentanyl. I was killed by fentanyl and resuscitated. because when I was doing heroin, I made a point of not doing heroin with fentanyl in it, but my dealer had changed it so it had fentanyl in it. And, I'll get into that some other time if you want me to. And so there's this ad, and it was a guy who was dead, and he had toe tag on, and it was in a morgue, and it said, "This is what fentanyl will do to you," or something. I saw that, and started getting this feeling again, the same feeling I had, and I was like, "Oh, this is all a simulation. This isn't real. There's something behind the curtains. That's Wizard of Oz pulling the strings." And I started getting in my mind that, and this was me experiencing ego death, that I was that guy in that morgue, and I had died of something. Um, and this is I've had ego death multiple times, more times than I can count. I was prescribed ketamine. I had ego death almost twice a day. So I started thinking, as they're wheeling me into the hospital at this point, and I remember thinking that I was part of this grand scheme to make me the next anti-fentanyl ad. And so I remember hearing the cops going, "Oh, what's wrong with him? Oh, he took MDMA, LSD." Just listing off various drugs that I'd taken in my life, not at that moment in time. And so, I blacked out again, and I ended up in this, white light-filled space, and saw what were, these reptilian beings made out of geometric patterns. They weren't David Icke-style reptilians, just looked like big snakes, almost, and I felt like, I'm in heaven now. This is what it's like where you go when you die. This is what Gabor Mate talks about when he took ayahuasca, and I was filled with a profound sense of well-being and happiness for a second. And I came out of it, and there I was in the hospital. I was in the ER, and there was a lady in the booth next to me. Because they'd have these booths just made out of curtains. She's screaming, she's giving birth, and I was going, "I really need to go washroom, and they bring over a little little jug, so I go washroom, but I was too fucked up to do anything about it. So they went and they got this tube stick into my wiener, and that felt like rape. It felt like the most painful, degrading thing that could happen to me. I remember this woman screaming because she's giving birth, and I turned into this baby, this tiny little baby, and tiny little monkey, and the people around me, all these Filipino orderlies, they're going, "Look at the little baby, look at the little baby, look at this little Twinkie." And it just felt like, oh my god, I'm being reborn. I have to live my life again. And it was fairly scary. But this is towards the end of it. I mean, I still had, I was only maybe 6 hours into it, so I probably still had a while to go. But this nurse came up and she was like, "Here, do you want some Ativan?" And I was like, "Anything, please, just make it stop." Just stuck a needle in my arm, and she's like, "This stuff hurts, it's gel." And I was like, "Just do it, just do it." It did hurt, but it just calmed it down. I was still hallucinating like mad balls, but it just kept giving me Ativan over and over and over again. I actually slept through the night, and I pretended like it didn't happen, went home the next day, and my parents are very disappointed in me for obvious reasons, and yeah, it was that full Stanislav Grof death rebirth style experience, and it traumatized me for a long time. And then when I got my chronic pain disorder, chronic nerve pain disorder, central nervous system sensitivity, I started to have these LSD-like visuals all the time, and we thought it was HPPD from that trip. And that plagued me for many years until it went away and turned into pain. And I realized, even when I was a kid, I would see kind of patterns that were shifting in the sidewalk. And so I believe that was just a product of my condition, which I suppose I had since a very young age. Yeah, like it was traumatic. Very much considered it a bad trip. Um, I had to apologize 1,000 times to the tenants who had to put up with that. Which, God bless them for being so accommodating. Yeah, in retrospect, I worked through that trauma, like ironically enough, on LSD, and found that was actually a good thing. That death rebirth was um, something that kind of helped to rewire me a bit and planted this seed of, you need change for the better. Yeah, so I don't necessarily regret it. A big part of why I had such a bad time was because I was in a very bad mind space, as I said at the beginning. Setting is, uh, as important, if not more important, than the drug you're taking and the dose you're taking. Now, you're probably wondering, how do I know it was that much LSD? Well, the doctor, when I got there, maybe, like 6 hours after I took it, did my blood, and he said, there is 20 hits of LSD in your blood, and LSD leaves your system after a couple hours. So that means you took probably twice, 3 times the amount of that. And so, yeah, that was pretty wild. And I didn't do LSD for, a good 7 years after that at least. I was terrified of it. I've since rekindled my love and my appreciation for it as a life-changing compound. Mind you, at the same time, because I think it's just due to how it works with it leaving your body so soon, and just like your brain is in that state for the next 12 hours. I think that's why a lot of people get HPPD, fry their brain, so to speak, because that doesn't reset. Your brain doesn't reset afterwards, or well, with some people. And yeah, so I wanted to share that because it's a pretty crazy story. And Yeah, I don't regret it because it was terrifying, but it wasn't um, like something that without merit. It wasn't something that I couldn't analyze and take value away from. Now, make of this what you will. You're probably thinking, oh, well, why do you still do psychedelics? Well, here's the thing. For 7 years after I didn't, I was scared shitless of them. I did opiates and I drank a lot, both things I don't do anymore. And it was mostly to suppress the symptoms of the HPPDs, supposed HPPD, and then the nerve pain and stuff like that. But, I had sort of a renaissance with psychedelics along with society, and, now I do a lot of good work with them. So it's about, responsible use, having that set and setting, um, and also, being respectful of the compound, knowing exactly the amount you're taking, knowing where you're going to be, what you're going to do. At the same time, don't have expectations for what the outcome will be, because those expectations, those letdowns, when you don't hit those marks, you can have a very bad time. But uh, that being said, have intention, uh, I want to feel the love of the universe. I want to work on this or that, but don't make it an expectation. And so, with all that being said, I just wanted to say that, yeah, one other thing, this YouTube channel, it's meant more so for myself and for working through issues I've had in the past, issues I'm fighting with currently. I also wanted to state that I was just in my good friend Nikki Gold's music video. She was a very talented musician. She was an actress, played Grace on Degrassi. I'm going to go hang out with her in a bit, but she's going to send me a teaser of that music video, as I play her husband in it, who she brutally poisons and abuses the shit out of, which is great. I love it. Yeah, so I'll be posting that soon, and I hope you guys will come check it out. And also, I am hoping to get some better gear soon, but I am like broke as a joke right now, so this is unfortunately what I have to work with. So, anyways, I wanted to say Synthetic and not so spiritual, Sharon. Sayonara. And may you have the best trips that you need near life.